Hi, everybody, and welcome back to the show. First up today, I would like to welcome a bunch of new places to the show, a bunch of new places that have tuned in and given a couple of episodes a listen. First off, Cambodia, welcome. Detroit, Michigan, thanks for listening. Tasmania, Australia, welcome. And a whole bunch of new places in Sweden. Folks, thank you so much to all of you out there for tuning in and checking out the show. Well, I guess obviously the first order of business this week is starting with the earthquake that we just had up here in northern Japan this past Monday. It was a big one, and I'm actually going to use the video of our living room that my wife took as the clip for this episode. I'm sure you heard, I got all kinds of nice messages from around the world asking if we were all okay, which we are, with no damage, no major event, nothing. We're totally fine. Maybe you saw it on the news, wherever you are in the world, but we had a hell of a big shaker up here. It was a magnitude 7.5 earthquake that hit off the coast of Aomori at about 11:15 p.m. Monday night. And that was an upper 6 on the Japanese seismic scale, which is just huge. That is a big earthquake. I think I said before on the podcast, but just in case you don't remember, the difference between magnitude measurements and the Japanese seismic scale is that magnitude measures how much energy an earthquake releases and at the epicenter, while the Japanese seismic scale measures the intensity of the local ground shaking. And at upper 6, it is impossible to stand or move without crawling. So this was a really big event. But up here in Ishikari, it was a lower 5. Obviously, we were quite a bit farther away from where it struck down in Aomori, but we still registered a lower 5 on the ground. That is still really, really big. Lower 5 is more just, how do you put it, more just really scary than dangerous, but as you can see in the clip I've put up, things get to really swinging in your house. You know, it'll knock stuff off the walls. It'll knock, thin standing objects up. It'll knock them over. For a lot of people, it is tough to stand up, even at lower 5. But I think that's what we had up here in Ishikari, lower 5 on the Japanese seismic scale. As you might have seen, one of the biggest worries with these things is tsunamis. And yes, there were tsunami warnings as well. But very luckily, nothing really troublesome came. I think Mururan had a 40 centimeter swell. And I think somewhere in Iwate Prefecture had a 50 centimeter swell. So there was nothing to worry about, folks. It was all right. And even luckier for me, I slept through the whole thing. My wife was still downstairs watching TV. I was in bed, fast asleep. She said she was shouting upstairs for me, but nope. I was just absolutely dead to the world. I slept through all the alarms, all of it, all the shaking, my wife shouting upstairs. What can I say? I was in a deep sleep. So, hey, but when I woke up, I saw all the alarms and alerts on my phone. I was like, wow. In the morning I said to my wife, something happened last night? She's like, yes. And also as I'm walking downstairs, I noticed there's a couple of pictures askew on the wall. And oh man, that's actually kind of embarrassing to sleep through an event like that. You know what I mean? Hey, that's right, ladies. Make sure you marry a man who's good in an emergency. but geez, sorry about that. But earthquakes, they are so scary when they get to that size, aren't they? I mean, it's it's such a freaky feeling when they start. You don't know if it's something wrong with you at first. Like you kind of just feel dizzy, but then you realize, oh, hey, wait a minute, I'm not having a heart attack. The room's shaking. But unfortunately, they are definitely a part of life. They are a part of living here in Japan. They might be the worst part of living in Japan, but you kind of don't have to worry as much because buildings here, architecture here is done in a way so that everything withstands earthquakes. They are very, very much in the forefront of designers' minds. So they have all kinds of rigorous testing and redundancies that they have to have built into buildings and structures so that they do survive very, very big earthquakes. So with that in mind, most often buildings sustain little or no damage. It's really amazing the way architects have figured out how to make buildings able to survive large earthquakes. And one thing about them, though, that I've always found kind of odd is that after events like that, everybody just carries on with life as usual. I mean, you got to go to school, you got to go to work. I mean, I'm used to that now, but after my first couple of earthquakes here in Japan, I thought that they kind of warranted like a day off, for people to collect themselves. But nope. I mean, just life goes on. You got to go to work. You got to go to school. I mean, even in 2011, that northern earthquake that, destroyed northern Honshu and Sendai and all that horrible tsunami that hit, I remember the next day I had to go to work. And I remember walking through the area around Sapporo Station, and it was just surreal. It was surreal knowing what was happening in other parts of the country, but we just had to carry on with things as normal up here in Sapporo. It was really, really an odd feeling. And I'm kind of used to it now, but still when events of that size hit, I just always feel, maybe for the population's mental health, maybe a day off might be in order just to kind of collect yourselves, But again, life goes on. It's a very, very freaky thing, and it's a very, very unfortunate part of life here in Japan. I mean, I think growing up in Canada, I remember one earthquake at some point in the 80s, and it wasn't big. It was just kind of a weird thing. Everybody was kind of like, wait a minute, was the house just moving? And then, sure enough, it came up that there was a very, very rare earthquake that had happened in the kind of southern Ontario area. It wasn't anything like what we had here on Monday night or regularly experience here in Japan, but that being my only experience with it, it's been really really different living here with the threat and thought of earthquakes. I mean, they're saying that could be what do they call it? A foreshock, that we could be in for a big one over the next week. I don't think it's happening. I think they said there's like a 1% chance of that happening. So nobody's really worried about it. But these things always come up, I mean, there's shock media as well, keeping people in fear and all that. But, well, hey, at least the Bears are out of the news right now. But I'll tell you what will not be continuing this, folks. Cycling. Immediately following the earthquake that night, we got hit with a snowstorm that looks like it's finally done in the season. And it looks like the cold has really set in as well. And we've got so much more snow in the forecast through the rest of this week. As always, I'm recording this on a Wednesday night. It's going to be uploaded early Friday morning Japan time. But between now And Saturday, it looks like we're in for kind of 2 days of steady snowfall. So, and temperatures of like -4, -5. So, this is definitely the end of the cycling season. So, it looks like my last ride for 2025 was on December 7th. And it was a good one. It was nothing special. It was just a quick ride up to the lighthouse. I think that's 34 kilometers for me. But I always love doing that ride. It always feels really good. It's a comfortable distance. You get a good workout in. But that is it for 2025. That is a wrap. And for 2025, I rode a grand total of 5,586 kilometers. This year, I did a ton of really great rides and saw lots of new places, but that kilometer total is the lowest I've done in years. I have not been under 6,000 kilometers for, it's got to be 6 years. And there's a whole bunch of reasons for that, but who cares? Kilometer count or not, it was still an absolute excellent cycling year. I am really happy with how it all went, especially the second half of the season. Outstanding scenery out there, outstanding places, some excellent people. It was just a great year. And in a little while, I'm going to do an episode recapping the cycling year for 2025. There were some absolutely great rides, some great scenery, some fantastic people. So look for that episode coming out just before New Year's. I hope to have that up and out in the world. But kind of speaking of the year, all year round, Sapporo puts on really cool events. And right now, the Sapporo White Illumination is on. It is a beautiful event where Odori Park gets all dressed up in a really nice bunch of light displays. I put a reel of it up on the Cycling Hokkaido podcast Instagram page today. Hopefully you can go back and check that out. But what is the Sapporo White Illumination in Odori Park? Well, the event started in 1981 and is an annual event that runs from late November until Christmas. Way back in 1981, it started with just 1,048 light bulbs, and now there are millions of LEDs in Odori Park, and some also at Sapporo Station. The Sapporo Station is kind of the secondary venue, and all up Ekimae Odori, the trees are all done up in this beautiful white LEDs. It's a beautiful part of town at this time of year. The displays have themes like winter blossoms, snow fantasy, wish birds. It's another one of the things that I go to every year. Odori Park is just really, really beautiful, all lit up like that. I mean, even the TV tower gets all lit up with pretty lights. They've got Christmas colors, whites, blues, greens. It looks just excellent. I love Odori Park at this time of year. Actually, Odori Park at any time of year is a pretty cool place to be, isn't it? Yeah, it's pretty slushy in spring, I guess, but love that place. And about the white illumination, I did not realize this until I was getting ready for this episode. It's apparently eco-friendly. To power all the lights, they apparently use biodiesel and green energy to keep the whole thing going. And actually, over the years, I've kind of wondered about that. Like, hey, wait a minute. Should we actually be doing this? But hey, there you go. It's apparently also an exercise in eco-friendly energy. So that made me feel a little bit better about going every year. Folks, if you ever find yourself in Sapporo at this time of year, you should definitely go and check out the Sapporo White Illumination in Odori Park. Folks, not only does Sapporo have excellent events, it also has some really cool bars and restaurants. And I am still discovering new ones all the time. Like the other night, my wife and I went to the absolutely gorgeous N43 bar. The name means they're on the northern latitude 43. And this bar opened in 1985, and it's located on the northern slope of Mount Moiwa. I'm not going to lie to you folks, it is not a very convenient place to get to at all. You either have to drive, walk, take a taxi. You could cycle it, but it is a hell of a climb up there. Might have to do that one day. But, I mean, taxi's kind of expensive, right? And nobody wants to drive to a bar. Where's the fun in that? But I think they actually said on their webpage, I think they said, not the webpage, where did I read that? Some bar site somewhere on the internet. I think they said it was just a 10-minute taxi ride from Maruyama Station. So it might not be that expensive. But anyway, because of its inconvenient location, it has a gorgeous panoramic view of Sapporo City. And it is just a super stylish looking place as well. It's got an all black interior with like really cool soft lighting. But the main light show comes from the view of the city. It is gorgeous. And as far as pricing is concerned, it's actually not as crazy as you might expect a place like that to be. Sure, it's kind of out of my price range. I mean, for a night, you could probably get away with 4,000 or 5,000 yen per person if you were ordering cautiously. Now, I mean, that's like a couple of dishes and maybe 2 or 3 drinks. You'd probably be close to 4,000 yen after just that. You wouldn't be full or tipsy after that. So I'm super happy I went. I kind of much prefer a much simpler, down-to-earth type place, Plus, they don't have Nomi Hodai there, folks. You remember what Nomi Hodai is? Nomi Hodai is the all-you-can-drink deals they have in many places all over the city. Sometimes you'll see it advertised as free drink. That free drink does not mean you're not paying. It just means unlimited drinks for a set price, usually 2,000, 2,500 yen. But at N43, they're a bit classier than your average run-of-the-mill pub, so they have no all-you-can-drink there. But yeah, you could easily drop some serious coin in there if you weren't paying attention to what you're doing. So why were we there? Well, my wife has a friend who's quite well off, and she wanted to do something nice for my wife's birthday, so she invited us to the place and had a reservation for us, only us two, for 6 p.m. She was going to be arriving later, but had actually made an earlier reservation for us. She pre-ordered food for us. So actually, for the longest time, since we were there at 6 p.m., the place was empty. For the longest time, it was just my wife in there. We had the whole place to ourselves. It was excellent. It was surreal, just sitting in this super stylish place with this incredible view, all to the two of us. There was Enya playing over the speakers, which actually really, really suited the whole scene of the inside vibe of the place and the scenery and the kind of lit up trees out back of the place. It was amazing. We had a bunch of food. I'll be honest, the pizza in there was okay, but the crab and tomato cream pasta was excellent. But so we've taken in the scenery, we've been fed, we've had a few drinks, and then the rest of our party arrived. Now, folks, this was where things got really interesting because my wife's friend was bringing the famous photographer Leslie Kee with her. Have you ever heard of him? I know many of you have because I've seen your comments about him on my social media. Go ahead, folks, take a minute, look him up. He has done amazing things. He has photographed so many celebrities. He's photographed Lady Gaga, Madonna, Yoko Ono, Norman Reedus, Japanese actors like Tadanobu Asano, from the new Shogun series. He's shot cover shots for Time magazine. He's just done some incredible things. He's at that level of photographer now where he's kind of a rock star himself. You know what I mean? You know, when you kind of hear about that kind of person? Well, he's that guy. So, I'll be honest, kind of leading up to the night, we knew he was going to be there, but I'd been a bit nervous about my clothes. Folks, I don't know how well you know me. Maybe you've gotten to know me over the course of this podcast, but I am not a fancy dresser. I wear jeans, I wear t-shirts, I wear hoodies. That's pretty much all I got. So kind of leading up to the night, I was trying on different stuff, you know, putting on a fashion show for my wife in the living room. You know, I'm like trying stuff I don't usually wear. And to be honest, it was getting ridiculous. It wasn't me. If I'd gone out wearing the stuff that had been in the back of my closet forever, if I'd gone out wearing some of that stuff, I would have felt more self-conscious in those clothes that I wasn't used to wearing, right? So to dress up a little bit, I just did not wear blue jeans. I put on my brown corduroys, the very pinnacle of fashion. So I felt a bit more fashionable, you know. It's not blue jeans, I guess. But anyway, Leslie Kee and his partner and my wife's friend come in, and right away the dude's energy just was right out in front. You know, he walked in and gave a shout out, "Martin!" And off we went. You know, then a bottle of Moët and Chandon showed up on the table. And this famous photographer, this world famous photographer is asking my wife and I just all kinds of questions about us. And it wasn't an act or anything. He seemed just genuinely interested and curious in our lives. It was nice, but it was also really disarming. You know what I mean? You felt really comfortable. I mean, I guess it's kind of a classic thing, right? I mean, how do you make people comfortable? Get them talking about themselves, right? But the way he was just interested in us, who are nobodies, I think that's also just who he is, and a part of why he's in that profession. He's genuinely interested in people, but there came a point in the conversation where I was like, this is great, and I appreciate this, but we are not the most interesting people in this room. I wanted to hear his story. I wanted to hear their story, right? I wanted to hear about the celebs. And, you know, he went, oh, yeah, of course. So, you know, we got, you know, their story. We got his story. And then he started talking about this, that, and the other famous person. And the whole thing was just this fascinating conversation. It was, you know, again, of course, you're a little bit nervous going into these things, but I remember I'd kind of said to myself, like, look, the guy, he's just a dude, you know, he's just the guy, he's got to go home and do laundry the same as everybody else, so, you know, treat it like that. And I think that's kind of how you have to go into these kind of situations. And he kind of echoed that as well when he was talking about photographing the mega famous. He's like, yeah, sure, he was kind of starstruck at first, but at the end of the day, you realize they're just doing a job. They have to go home as well. They have to eat. They have to brush their teeth. You get over it and you realize that, you know, celebs are people too. So we just had this conversation. I mean, just imagine sitting in any bar, having a conversation with a friend of yours. That's what it was. That's how comfortable it was. And I think it's, again, a big part of because of who he is and his personality. He's just that comfortable to sit with. And the way he took an interest in in us, the way he takes an interest in people, is a big part of why it was so comfortable. But when he got into the other, famous people talk and was answering, questions I had and we had, it was really something to just kind of touch that world, and also the way he was talking about a couple of really famous people just using their first names. and he was talking about those people as if they were just ordinary acquaintances. It was incredible, being that close to somebody who's in that world, and to get a little glimpse of it was really, really fun, And afterwards, my wife and I, we were like, wow, what were we doing in that company? But again, it was a part of, Leslie's whole thing. Yeah, you're starstruck in the beginning, but then you realize everybody's just kind of normal people. Again, celebrities are people too. Celeb lives matter. But being in that bar with that scenery, I mean, the scenery, not even just the scenery of Sapporo City, but the moon was kind of almost full. It was waning, but it was almost full. And the moon was just kind of playing hide and seek in the clouds. That was gorgeous. And, that scenery, that bar, and being in the company of just really interesting people with great stories to tell, it was pretty much the perfect evening out, don't you think? I'm super happy we got to meet Leslie Kee and his partner, and not just to meet them and say hi, but to actually get to hang out for an evening over drinks was really cool. Sometimes you get to meet, sometimes you do meet famous people, but it's like a handshake and it's over. Well, this wasn't that. We actually got to sit down and kind of have a real good conversation. It was a lot of fun. Oh. All right, folks, I'm just kind of rambling about this. I've been talking about this night for a while, and I'm probably going to be talking about it for a little while longer. But hey, folks, I hope you can get down to see the Sapporo White Illumination, and I hope you've got some cool Christmas or New Year's parties coming up. Have fun out there, folks. Love ya.
Cycling Hokkaido!